have you scooch over until you can feel like you're, until you hit my hand, basically, with your hip. That's good, right there. So I always like to put my hand or something here. So I'm gonna have you bend this knee and just put your foot on the table so that your knee is straight up in the air. Yes. Good job. Crushing it. Okay, and now I'm gonna just bring your leg off the table, off this way, and I'm gonna drop it down. Okay. How does that feel?
Good.
Does it feel like a stretch at all?
No.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is have you scooch just a little bit further towards me with your hip. Okay. So the goal is to be able to get the hip to just kind of fall. So the more you bring it down, so this is your hip flexors here, so you're stretching this out. So by bringing it down like this, you're feeling the resistance. So she can go pretty good. Your psoas is not, we'll just show the knee here so that you guys can see. And then I'm going to have you straighten this leg out. Sorry. Make it hard on you. And then I'm going to bring it down again. Yeah, she's doing pretty good. So she shouldn't be too tender. She might still, but... Okay, so I'm going to have you stay here on the edge because I'm going to retest you when I'm done. Mm-hmm. You feel okay? Mm-hmm. Feel like secure?
Yep.
Okay. So you can't really see anything because of the sheet, but ASIS is right here. You can kind of see it sticking out, but not really because it's under a sheet. So the psoas kind of attaches right about here. So I like to kind of poke in here a little bit gently. Does that hurt? Tender?
No.
Okay. So her psoas is pretty good. But usually on runners and stuff, this can get really tender. So the psoas it's technically the iliopsoas. It's two different muscles, but they come together and cause all sorts of freaking issues. Mm-hmm. So this is the one that I work the most, this attachment. It attaches to the lumbar spine, kind of behind our belly button, in that area. Okay. And then it runs down and along here to here. And it's it's our fight or flight muscle too. So basically, your psoas can be really tight when you're stressed out. It's like a stress response. So in general, people tend to have tight psoases. And a lot of massage therapists do not work it. So I'm going to re-drape your leg just because I think to see some of it, not all of it. We're not going to give it all away.
Right.
We've already seen too much today. Okay, so greater trochanter, ASIS. If it's really, really, really tight, you can kind of, what I like to do sometimes is lift the knee. So passively lifting the knee, you're shortening it so that you can kind of touch it. Because some people, it's so tight that they're really ticklish and they don't want you to touch it. So this helps a lot. And then I just come in here and I just put pressure. And I almost always just use static pressure. You could also have the leg on the table and do the rocking. This is another good way, but still static. I find that when they're really tight, if you do too much movement with your thumb or your fingers, they just get so tickly and they tense up way more and it's like a whole thing.
Is it like a defense thing?
Yeah, because it's so tight.
Wow, they just laugh and tell you to go away.
Or they can't, or I don't know, I've had people scream, not like full on screech, but what is that?
Right.
What are you doing to me? And I'm like, it's fine, everything's fine. I'm a professional. It's totally good. We're all good. All right. So, the trick of pressing the hip up at this, You know, I've shown this a few times, with just shortening muscles this way as well can be helpful. But if you're feeling like static pressure is just either too much, and I'm going pretty deep on her because she's not tender. Sometimes working the psoas looks like your hand just being right here, or like, let's see, probably like this. When you're going like this, sometimes it looks like you just kind of pawing them, trying to get it to loosen up. But like hers is pretty darn loose. Like,
you're a gymnast. I wish I was. I haven't been running. I gotta be more sports.
yeah. So go ahead, when you guys are practicing this, work this as much as you can, much as you feel comfortable with. You might know someone who needs this work. If they're runners in general, they usually could use the work regardless. But if they are walking and they feel like it's catching right here, like if they say, yeah, I just walk and like it just feels like it keeps catching, like my leg catches, that's a good sign that the psoas needs some attention. Also, so if your runners have really bad low back pain, like sacral area, also a good sign the psoas. Crazy enough, even though but because of where it attaches on the lumbar spine, on the other side of your belly button here, it makes sense. It's just you can't really access it here because it's so deep. And you got your rectus abdominis and like a bunch of organs and stuff. So yeah, so the best way, I think I may have shown you in the abdominal series, like an inch over and an inch down, you can usually kind of palpate it there. And you really wouldn't know unless you lift your leg up, then you can feel it contract. And then down here is the other place you can feel it. So anyway, psoas is it's kind of like the subscap. In the way that like it causes a lot of issues, but people don't touch it.
Yeah.
Doesn't get touched like it should. Okay, so we did all that. Now we're gonna drop her leg again. She could go really far anyway.
Can you touch the ground?
You can always touch the ground. Just a little. Just need to be a little taller. Too bad I can't make people taller. I mean,
what?
I know. I've been trying for years. Trust me. Okay, so that is our flexor in there. That's the biggest one, I guess. Now for the extensors, we're going to test it this way, and then I'm going to flip her over. So the extensors are going to be our hamstrings. So we're going to drape her fully, have her grab it. You got all that?
I think so. Yeah, I have it now.
Okay. And then we're going to bring the leg. Straight up. So women should be able to go straight up, and men not almost straight up, not all the way. They're just a little less flexible. Not all men, some can do it.
Oh, okay.
But she's actually pretty good. That's like pretty straight, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
So her hamstrings probably aren't a big issue, but we are still going to work it. So I will take this and re-drape you. And then I'm going to have you scooch closer to the middle of the table again.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And then, I don't know why I put this stuff on there. It's fine. All right, I'll have you flip over, facing face first. Is it comfortable?
Yes.
Okay. And it's this leg now because we flipped. Say hello. Try not to show too much butt, but you know, nothing wrong. Alright, so now we're ready to work the hands. So the hamstrings, pretty easy to work. You guys have all learned this, friction and Swedish, but now we're really looking for trigger point stuff. So again, I warm it all up. I don't like to do trigger point work without warming up stuff. There is definitely tension in here, so we're probably gonna be able to find some good stuff. Is it feeling tender?
Yeah, a little.
Okay. So if you're not good with your elbow yet, just go ahead and use your thumb. So right here, does that feel okay?
Uh-huh.
Is it tender?
Yeah.
Does it radiate anywhere?
I guess it does feel like it's radiating medially.
Medially?
Yeah,
Okay.
just a little.